Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team, Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
I don't think it was random gunfire by any means whatsoever. These officers were in marked squad cars.
A shooting sends a Rockford police officer to the hospital. The department's new chief says she'll leave no stone unturned to find whoever pulled the trigger.
A family wakes up to the smell of smoke. They made it out safely, but are dealing with the impact of losing everything in the flames.
And State Line teachers get a special delivery. You can show your appreciation by nominating impactful educators. Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. A bulletproof vest likely saved a Rockford police officer's life. The department says he was shot at close range overnight.
Chief Carla Red says the officer is doing okay now. Dylan Saraki joins us live following a briefing. Dylan, what did you learn?
Yeah, that's right, Eric and Mimi. The three officers were parked near the intersection of Kishwaukee and Bear Boulevard when their squad car was shot at early this morning. According to Police Chief Carla Red, one bullet went through the door of the vehicle and hit one of the officers, who escaped with only minor injuries thanks to their bulletproof vest. The officer was checked out at a local hospital, but is now back home. Red says they will be taking some time off the job. Investigators are still looking for the suspect who pulled the trigger. Chief Red tells me, while all gun violence is unacceptable, the department is using every resource at their disposal to apprehend the person who shot at one of their own.
Coming after our men and women of this police department that put their lives on the line every day to protect the city will not be tolerated. Rest assured, all of our resources that we have available, our additional state partners and federal partners, we will be utilizing every resource to bring these individuals to justice.
Coming up at 6, Mayor Tom McNamara has a plea for residents following the shooting. For now, live in Rockford for your home team, I'm Dylan Saraki.
Dylan, thanks for the live report.
A motorhome and house are burned down in an overnight fire. Rockford firefighters pulled up to see smoke and flames engulf the Collins Street home just before 1 a.m.
The blaze has turned life upside down for the family who lived in that home. Michelle Rabe spent some time with them. How are they holding up, Michelle?
It's every family's worst nightmare, being woken up to the smell of smoke inside your house. It's a nightmare the Smith family lived through overnight, but most importantly, they lived.
I feel a little lost, a little in shock still, I guess.
This is all what's left of the camper on Rachel Smith's property. It caught fire early Thursday morning on Collins Street in Rockford. But that wasn't all. The fire also damaged the inside of her home.
I noticed like a light in the living room when we were redoing it. There's no light fixture in there. So I looked over and I was like, oh man, I think the camper's on fire outside. So I run, grab my phone, and then I'm running to the kids, and and I said, get up, guys, get up.
The single mother says her first worry was her two children, both terrified when they were woken up in the middle of the night.
I was thinking that it was probably like a fire like in our house or something.
Although investigators have not said yet what caused the fire, Smith believes it was set on purpose.
And we come running out the back, and then that's when we heard a boom, and something goes flying across the lawn. And I'm not sure. There was no electricity hooked up to the camper, but I think it might have been set.
For now, the family is getting help from the Red Cross.
In this case, we work closely with Rockford Fire Department. They actually contact us directly to let us know that there has been, families that are affected by the fire. And what happens is then we actually go ahead and dispatch some folks, mostly volunteers, to assist with the family.
Smith had no insurance on the home. Now she has to start over again.
Now we're going to go check in and for a couple days until we figure out what's going to go on from there.
The immediate assistance of the Red Cross would not be possible without the help of its volunteers. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, I'll post that information on mystateline.com. Eric.
Thank you, Michelle. Illinois' economy has yet to completely bounce back from the COVID pandemic. Unemployment in the state is at 7.1%. That's double what it was at the start of 2020. Health officials say wearing a mask and getting the vaccine will help people get back to work. That's why the Illinois Manufacturers Association encourages not only businesses to follow state mitigations, but also customers. Mark Denzler is the IMA president and CEO. He says mitigations will help boost the economy.
to restore confidence in our economy. We want to get people back in the workforce so that they have money to spend and they can go on vacation or they can go to a baseball game or, they can do those types of things. We have to be able to do it in a safe environment.
According to Densler, there are 400,000 fewer people working in Illinois than a year and a half ago.
Tenants in eviction court can now apply for financial aid to keep a roof over their heads thanks to the rental assistance program.
Landlords are required to let tenants know about the aid when giving an eviction notice. Rachel Perry spoke with a local landlord. Rachel, he tells you some renters skip town before even filling out the forms.
Mimi and Eric, that's right. He says he can't even get them to fill out the paperwork, and instead they leave him with the debt.
Since the eviction moratorium hit, our open balance in rent, our lost rent, grew to over $100,000.
Property owner James Fiden says the damage is unimaginable.
Just a few weeks ago, we served everyone 5-day eviction notices who had an open balance, and half of them just left. And in most cases, they trashed the unit. So it's pretty devastating.
A new eviction mediation program is supposed to resolve evictions before they go to court. But both the tenant and landlord have to fill out paperwork.
For whatever reason, decided that, this eviction moratorium was going to last forever, and they just didn't want to even take the effort to apply.
Eric Sleepak is the Associate Director of Resolution Systems Institute, the nonprofit working with courts on the program. He admits the tenants are responsible for starting the application for the grant money.
The economic factors that have been in play that have kept people from making rent are still in play here, and so there needs to be really a lifeline.
But Fiden says that lifeline isn't working.
You'll get them almost to the goal line, and then they decide they're going to move out, so they won't sign that final document, and you're stuck with a $10,000, or we've even had a $17,000 open balance.
Which is costing some landlords their business.
I actually have some landlords who have reached out to me, willing to sell their property just because they're not going to make it through.
If the application is completed by both the landlord and tenant and approved, a check is mailed to the landlord, and the eviction case can be dismissed in court. The state's moratorium on evictions ends October 3rd. You can find information on how to apply on our website, mystateline.com. Mimi?
All right, thanks, Rachel. As a token of appreciation, teachers across the state line received some good old-fashioned apples this morning. Volunteers with Golden Apple Foundation delivered more than 5,000 pieces of fruit to educators at every school in Boone and Winnebago counties. In addition to the apples, schools received Golden Apple teacher nomination forms. Any 6th through 12th grade teacher is eligible for the award. One college student says some of the most important lessons he learned in high school didn't come out of a textbook.
There's a lot of teachers that have influenced me, not academically, but in a spiritual way, and that's why I wanted to give back to teachers. It's just pay it forward, really. That's really what they were teaching me. It's literally treat others how you want to be treated.
Today's apples were donated by Schnucks. Find a link to nominate a teacher using the My State Line app. Forms close October 14th.
An important piece of American history now resides at an Illinois museum.
Visitors can see the desk used by Abraham Lincoln to write his first inaugural address at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum in Springfield. Historians say the desk gives insight into how much care Lincoln put into the speech, which he gave during a time when the first southern states were seceding. Back then, you could find the desk in the back of Lincoln's brother-in-law's shop, which the president used as a private space to pore over every single word of the speech.
As we open an exhibit about the written word and Lincoln's mastery of it, this object stands as a stark symbol of the act of writing and the care Lincoln took in preparing a message that he hoped would heal a nation and avoid what turned out to be a horrific civil war.
The exhibit will remain at the museum for 6 months. It is accompanied by a series of letters that Lincoln wrote during the Civil War.
A state line holiday tradition returns. COVID forced the Dasher Dash 5K virtual last year. Runners can cross the finish line in person this winter. There will be a few changes from the 2019 race. Athletes will now be treated to a post-race party at Davis Park. The route will also be different. Runners will make their way along heavily decorated State, Madison, and Wyman streets. Dasher Dash's new partner, Rock River Multisport, welcomes the changes. Dasher-5K takes place Saturday, November 27th. Registration is now open.
Well, good evening, everyone. It was a very pleasant weather day for us here in the state line, and it still is pretty nice outside as we speak. But as we talk about what's happening on the way for this evening, well, we're talking about a slow cool down. So here's a look at the planning forecast for the rest of the day today. We'll be near 80 degrees as we head towards 6 p.m. But by the time we get to midnight, we'll be down to 65 degrees, and we should have pleasant conditions and a clear sky in control. Now, as we talk about high temperatures for today, we topped out in the mid 80s for a lot of us. Rockford at 84 degrees, Freeport at 84 degrees, and even Janesville at 84 degrees as well. And even right now, we're still sitting in the low and mid 80s. Belvedere at 80 degrees, still 84 degrees in Rockford, and 83 degrees in Freeport. Now, the winds, it's been a little breezy at times throughout the day today. We have winds right now anywhere from 7 to about 13 to 14 miles per hour, maybe a little more breezier as we look toward Galena, but still not terrible if you need to head outside for anything. And speaking of outside, here's a look at our Mercy Health SkyTrack weather camera. Shows a clear sky across downtown Rockford. And this is not only the case across our region, but across a large portion of the country and even stretching into Canada as well. Just clear conditions out there as a large area of high pressure continues to dominate our weather. But we are noticing clouds to our north and west along with some rain showers. This is associated with the cold front that will push in our direction and reach us by the time we get to Friday, bringing an isolated rain threat. Now we're talking about maybe a random thunderstorm here or there, maybe a random shower here or there, but nothing significant. Either way, this is our next rain threat moving into the region. So as we head throughout the night tonight, things stay quiet. But by the time we get to tomorrow, we see some of that limited rain threat showing up across western parts of Wisconsin. Eventually, as that front continues to push in our region, we will see some clouds out there, and at times we may see a thunderstorm develop or a random shower develop as well, but nothing terribly impressive with this system. More than anything, we'll notice a subtle shift in the air mass, and so we'll see lower humidity by the time we get to Saturday before we heat up as we head into Sunday. But speaking of just wet weather and the need for rain, we have new information from the U.S. Drought Monitor, and it shows that we have a moderate drought pretty much covering the entire viewing area, with a severe drought in place near the Kenosha area, stretching a little bit to the west. So drought is still definitely a part of our weather story. But in the longer term forecast, we do have some rain that we'll be looking out for. But before we get to that rain, let's talk about the setup into the weekend. More heat building across the middle of the country as the jet stream shifts north. So we're talking about temperatures in the 80s and even 90s for us as we head into Sunday and then continue into Monday. So if you are a fan of heat, you'll get that as we head through Sunday. I know it's a big Bears game taking place in Chicago. If you're traveling to that game, you want to stay hydrated because we're talking about a pretty warm day for some football. But I did mention some rain chances in a longer term forecast. This is a look at Monday. We'll start to see some spotty rain showers showing up late in the day Monday, and then a cold front sweeping across the region will bring more rain chances into Tuesday morning before we start to dry out for Wednesday. And this does look like more of a significant rain threat, so this will be good news for all the farmers who have been waiting on some substantial rain to help with their crops. But either way, as we talk about the forecast for tonight, we're down to 58 degrees with a clear sky, a touch warmer tonight compared to this morning where we dropped down to 50 degrees. And the 7-day forecast shows that limited rain threat on Friday, dry Saturday, warm Sunday and Monday, rain chances showing up late Monday and continuing into Tuesday, but then dry by the time we get to Wednesday.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with Sports Director Scott Lever.
So the Bears opener was a downer, but most of us saw it coming against what should be a Super Bowl contending Rams team. So will things get better this Sunday when the Bears are at home and facing a lesser opponent in the Cincinnati Bengals? Well, if you think the Bengals are a pushover, you'd be living in the past 20 years and not the present. When Joe Burrow is healthy and playing quarterback, which he is now, the Bengals are a dangerous team, at least on the offensive side of the ball. They already took down one NFC North team last week in the Vikings, although they got some help from the Vikings with a fumble and a slew of Vikings penalties. But Burrow delivered, passing for 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 3 very good receivers to throw to in Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. And Burrow isn't afraid to throw deep, unlike the Bears. So the Bears defense, which got burned deep by the Rams last Sunday, could be primed to get scorched again. And the Bengals also have a running threat in Joe Mixon. So if the Bears are going to win this game, the defense has to step up. I can see it playing better than it did against the Rams, but that's not saying much. But as I said on Monday, the days of the Bears having a top 10 defense are probably over. I'm not even sure this can be a top 20 defense. Everybody on that side of the ball needs to play better, including Khalil Mack, the defensive line, and most of all, Eddie Jackson and the rest of the secondary. Offensively, we'll see the Bears open things up more. They won't be as conservative as they were against the Rams defense. The Bengals are not strong on that side of the ball, so we're going to see improvement from the Bears on offense. Hopefully, we'll see David Montgomery getting more carries, and we should see them putting more points up on the board. But those points won't be enough. I have the Bengals defeating the Bears 31-24. I just don't have much faith in the Bears' defense right now under Sean Desai. And the offense isn't good enough to win shootouts.
Marcus, we'll have a final look at the weather in just a moment.
First, here's a check of what's coming on News Nation.
Tonight on the Donlin Report, President Biden's approval rating is tanking as America finds itself in the middle of several big issues and crises. What the president can do now that the honeymoon phase is over and new issues start to creep up. Now here's Leland Vittert with a preview of On Balance.
Thanks, Joe. Tonight, how social media manipulates our psychology and new reporting on how Facebook exploits it, the life-threatening effects that it's having on the younger generation, and what you need to do to protect your children. That's coming up on Balance tonight, followed by News Nation Prime.
You can catch News Nation on cable and satellite stations you see here. You can also head to newsnation.com.
We had another beautiful summer-like day out there today.
Yes, it's very nice. And if you like heat, we're going to get that this weekend, but we do have some limited rain chances we're looking out for.
And we could use it.
Yes, we definitely
Things
could use
are very
rain.
crunchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crunchy is a good way to describe it. As we talk about what's happening on the Interactive Radar brought to you by Rockford Auto Glass and more, things are quiet, no rain out there, and that will be the case for the rest of the evening. And the 7-day forecast shows we do have some rain chances out there Friday afternoon into the evening. But then Saturday we dry out, and then we heat up for Sunday and Monday, but more rain chances show up Monday, and that continues into Tuesday. But we're quieter and cooler by the time we get to next Wednesday. So if you don't like the heat, you won't like Sunday or Monday, but there's some relief on the way.
And there's plenty of sunshine on the weekend. That blazing sun with no clouds around it on Saturday, Sunday, that looks great.
Yes, wear the sunblock. It's still summer, people.
Good
Solid
advice.
advice.
Thanks, Marcus.
And thank you for spending some of your time with us. Stay safe.